Hey guys, last fan of the night.
Last fan of the night.
So this is a Casablanca Zephyr K55 Slumber Quiet with the bell canopy. What's the serial number, Pete? Let's see what the date is. I'm assuming this is 1980 because of the canopy, but I'm not a Casablanca.
CA 91109 or KN12979.
Okay, the Casablanca people will be able to decipher that. I'm assuming it could be no later than 81, but it's probably 80. So for behind the scenes footage, including a full video where Pete and I hung this fan, tested it, discovered that the Slumber Quiet had failed. Where's that Slumber Quiet board, by the way?
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Right here.
Hand me that pull chain too. We'll keep them together.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what happened is one of the diodes in the Slumber Quiet board had failed. So I'm not sure if you can really see it. So the motor was getting DC, which is no bueno. So for the purposes of this video, we made it a single speed fan with a 10 microfarad. I did not test the transistor that's in the motor housing to see if it had failed. Now, in my experience, if another component fails, it's because the transistor is starting to fail, even if it tests good. So if I were to keep the Slumber Quiet, which I personally wouldn't do, but I would start by testing the transistor, and I might try replacing the diodes first. But I have a feeling that the transistor probably needs to be replaced if the diodes failed, because usually the transistor failing is what causes the other components to fail. Usually. There are exceptions. Now, I know there's a lot of people that want this finish, and normally K55 Casablancas are, like, with the bell canopy, are right on the line for me. Like, if it was K63, I'd definitely be keeping it. If it was Hang True, I definitely would not want to keep it. It being the bell canopy, but K55, but Slumber Quiet, it's right on the line for me. I know there's a lot of people looking for this finish. I've talked to some people because there was another one on, was it Marketplace? Do you remember the one that was like down in southern Wisconsin?
Oh, no,
There was one in Marketplace in southern Wisconsin that I was trying to get, and some other collectors had spoken to me about, and I said if I didn't keep it and you didn't want it, I would let them know. This one actually we picked up kind of near where you live.
Yeah.
Pete and I picked this up earlier today in Brown Deer.
Yeah, that's actually where I lived growing up. Like,
yeah.
In my childhood area.
So it was only a few miles from my church, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another story. Pete and I had a much fun time today in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah, with the pizza.
We had pizza and some... Pete and the head senior pastor from my church and his daughter and grandson and I all went to my favorite pizza place in Milwaukee. Or one of my favorite pizza places in Milwaukee, at least. I got to take you to Grimaldi's next time.
Yes.
Which is actually a New York pizza place, but they have a location in Milwaukee. Anyhow, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we picked this up earlier today, and Pete got me at my church, and we went and drove and got it, and it was probably like 5 miles from the church.
Yeah, about. But where we met was a place that my mom would take us when
That's
we
true.
were like little kids. That park there.
Yeah.
That's actually also where we watched the fireworks.
Oh, cool.
That's where they would do fireworks for 4th of July, was at that park. They'd shoot them from behind that hill there.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, I say all that to say, I know there's some people who want this. If Rick and Pete get first dibs on anything, because that's how we roll. We all share fans since we all work together and share space and stuff like that. But if Rick and Pete don't what's the word? Don't activate their dibs. That's not the word I'm looking for. But if they're fine with me trading it, I would trade this for something I want more. So and that so okay. Let's it's just hardwired to high.
Yep.
Oh, we forgot to guess about inrush, huh?
Well, I kind of know that usually these have almost a no inrush.
No inrush. Okay, I'll go with small then. It was up to 8.1, so now it's dropped to 8, so if it doesn't drop too much.
What they typically do.
So that is small, okay. Will this be our first K55 Casablanca tested with the Zephyr?
I think so.
So we are, power factor almost 1 looks like, yep.
Yeah, typically these are power factor 1. Okay.
Okay, so let's do the rip'em first.
Yes.
This is the hardest place, I think, to test the rip'em.
Yeah.
Because of all the wood. That's what she said. We know it's right around 200 anyways, but okay.
749.
Okay.
Or go just round it to 750.
Yeah, it was like 749.9 or something.
Yeah.
750 divided by 4 is, that was actually a pretty clean reading, so that's 188. So it's a hair slow, which I wonder, because one of the blades is just a little off balance. Like, it's not even enough that I would even try to risk bending the iron. It could just be like if you swap two, it would balance it. I wonder if that's a balance thing, because it's just a hair slow. And we know the capacitor value is good because we just dropped a new capacitor in it.
Yeah.
Or it just might be what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's try the Zephyr. I guess I should probably make it clear for people that don't like that. This might be their first video. I'm just being silly. When I say RPM, I'm just doing RPM, and Zephyr is CFM. I'm just pronouncing it like a word. 551?
Yep.
You want to try a few other spots, or are you pretty confident in that 551?
Yeah, I'm pretty much.
Go a little closer, too. Because you're still like, yeah.
Yep. 551 was the highest I get.
551 times 14.75.
What size is this?
52. So that would be 8,127. So around 8,000 CFM, which is about what we'd expect.
Sounds about right.
It does. We have trying to think of what other fans we tested were around 8,000.
I'll do spin down.
Blenders are around 9,000. I know we've tested some that were around 8.
Yep.
So it is really cool that we can test CFM.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, shout out to Leading Edge and to the Neon Fan Company for that, because what happened was the founder of Leading Edge sent me a whole bunch of his not proprietary documents, but for his like industry only documents. They weren't like his public catalog. They were like, you had to be a client and write for his catalogs with his technical documents. And he sent his technical documents and explained how he tested CFM of his fans and all his competitors' fans. And those documents I actually uploaded. They're in one of the advertising slideshows and in one of the advertising like folders on my Facebook ceiling fan page. But I'd also sent them to Skylar of the Neon Fan Company, and he had a chance to read them in detail before I did, because, you know, I always have a million things going on. And I mean, so does he, but sometimes he's at his store and he can sit and read content. And he sent me a text after reading it. He's like, hey, do you know that this guy uses a vane anemometer in his testing? And I was, why don't you do that? And then we looked on Amazon. We bought a couple of them. And this is the one that, coincidentally, the one that he'd picked, which was also one of the ones that I picked, but it was his first choice pick, turned out to be the one that was best. Oh. And like I said, the only thing we're doing that is not scientific about it, other than the fact that we're using a $30 Amazon anemometer instead of like a $400 one like the Leading Edge guy was, is that we're taking the highest reading instead of the average. And I stand by that, because with the cheap anemometer in a non-controlled environment, and with all the different blade sizes and blade shapes that we measure, I feel like that's still going to give us the best gauge. And I feel like it has. Like, when we measure the fans, the measurements that we get kind of check with like how the fans feel, and with what we know, how powerful we know them to be. So I'm down on that. Right. I like this more than I thought I would. I wasn't a fan of black. Like, I'd rather have brown and I'd rather have antique brass. But this black is really growing on me. Like, it kind of looks like antique-ish.
Yeah, in a way it does.
I'm liking it more. It's going to be harder to get it from me. So, okay, let's. Where do you think it's going to start?
Usually, I guess 2 with these K55s.
Okay, I'll say 3 because I think you're in the ballpark.
1.
Ooh, it budged.
2.
Metal. So, I think I've often told the story that I had this exact fan in polished brass in the living room of my first apartment. It was the first fan I installed there before I found a Terra, before I found a World's fan, before I found all the other fans that ended up there. And that was back when my goal was to have the slowest possible fan speed. So, and that one, the Slumber Quiet was shot too. So what I did is I put a cardboard box in there and a 3-speed pull chain. And low was like a 2 microfarad. So it was like the slowest possible speed. And then medium was the cardboard box. And then high was high. And I called it my very medium instead of very low.
Okay.
Patent pending. Pending for a long time.
Yep, this is 3, 4.
By the way, I think this works pretty good. The little preheat down there.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future we get like a cheap shop light that we don't care about that's 4 foot, and then we just do that for in here.
Well, we already got such.
We got plenty. That's what I'm saying. We get one from over there, not like we get one from Menards.
But it's kind of cool. This is a preheat.
That's true. I was just only saying because I think a 4 foot would be a little better. Okay. But we got 4 foot preheats too.
Yep. 5. Which is, of course, your typical low on these.
Yep. And it looks great.
Yeah. 6.
Man, I like these blades with it too. Like normally I would want cane or stencil, but this combination it just reminds me of like an actual GE.
Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling it.
You know, I let Reese have a black Panama that looked just like this. Same color blades, black motor, everything.
How early was it?
It was definitely a Slumber Quiet.
Oh, that was it. Black and brass or just all black?
Just all black.
What kind of irons?
Black irons.
I mean, stubby, short, or long? Did it have 4 seasons irons, I guess is the question.
No, not stubby.
So I want, the only Panamas I care about, I want 4 seasons irons Panamas.
Gotcha.
And,
but here's 7.
Yeah, I might have one somewhere in the banana boxes, but they're kind of hard to come by.
8.
The first Panamas had long arms like this, and then the second ones had stubbies, and then once they got an actual 5-blade flywheel, they had the actual Panama arms.
Okay. This, of course, is a perfect medium low. This is what I have mine on.
You forgot the crunch. Crunch, 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 crunch.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Whole lot of crunching happening.
9.
I'll be curious to see how it does on the solid state because, you know, my favorite smart control for fans that do well in the solid state is that that infinitely variable smart control. That thing's a beast.
Yeah.
As long as your fan can handle a solid state without being too noisy, that thing is just amazing.
10 right here.
It's also, I think, the cheapest smart control. I get them from AliExpress. They're less than $15. They just take a long time
11.
to get here.
I have 11 is accurate with this one.
Well, don't rub it in.
12.
Crunch, 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 crunch. The only downside to the Fritos, Pete,
yeah,
they smell like toes. Don't Fritos smell like feet?
No.
I think they do. I think Fritos smell like feet. But again, I like them. I like them in chili. They are a good additive to chili.
13. Which of course is my medium right here. 14. 15.
It's a beautiful fan.
It is.
It's really growing on me because everything, the vent holes,
16.
the flywheel, the knob, everything except the tag and the blades is the same color, which you don't normally see on a Casablanca.
17. 18. 19.
20 is actually a decent medium high for this, I think.
Oh yeah, 20.
Crunch, 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 crunch. So, I like this. I just don't know if it's something I would ever hang. And, you know, my thing is, I mean, obviously, I'm going to have more fans than I have currently hanging. That my goal is not just to have fans that I am hanging, but my goal is to only keep fans that I would hang. So that's going to be the kind of deciding factor for this on me is, would I hang this?
Yep.
And where I think of this as like a historic bank lobby or something like that.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I do, yes. Since you said this black makes it look very antiquish.
Yeah. Something like that, or like an old train station.
Yes.
Some sort of historic building that they've like semi-modernized.
Yeah.
A lot of the same places where like originals would fit in nicely.
Like, say a black original.
Black originals, that's what I mean, exactly. Like the 90s classic, kind of almost like the snack bar in the Milwaukee Public Museum.
Yes.
Which, again, it's a shame that we now have lived through 2 versions of the Milwaukee Public Museum where they're taking the fans out and doing something else because the first remodel and then now they're leaving the second remodel, and but 26. We still have House on the Rock.
Yes. 67. Let's go to 30. That's 35.
I am delirious with exhaustion, so I just want to yell out crunch, crunch, crunch some more.
And 40. Well, we're maxed out.
We are. Yeah. Smooth runner. No bearing noise.
Yep.
It's a very slight balance issue, but again, I feel like if you just swapped two adjacent blades, it would probably even out. Like, looking at it from the profile, it looks like one's just a hair different.
Yeah.
But it might even just be a little... No, the flywheel doesn't look warped. So it's just, but I wouldn't even... Let's see what this... Oh, he's not gonna... He's just stopping it.
Yeah.
Okay, so solid state. How do you think it's gonna do?
Oh, I think it's gonna be silent.
Okay, well, I'll go with bedroom.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be loud. Usually these...
That is good.
It's like almost.
I think we can call that silent. Like, there's a little faint.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting because not all K55s are. Like, I think I told you that in my parents' rec room when I was a kid, I hung a turbo Zephyr, and the Slumber Quiet had failed in it, so I put a cardboard box in it, and that thing was freaking noisy.
Wow.
And then the one in my living room was probably living room quiet with the solid. That's why I didn't use solid state for the low, because I wanted the low to be silent. So that's why I did my very medium, because it might have been bedroom quiet. I was more sensitive to noise back then.
Okay.
We did 0 to high.
Yes.
We did solid state. We did capacitor. So really, only thing we have left is to do the Rick and metal test.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pete? Where is this on the metal scale?
Oh, this is definitely in that middle category, the thrash metal category.
Thrash metal category.
I mean, it's not like a top desired. I think why it's not so high, one, I get fooled with the old mounting, and it's not K63.
I know.
So it's kind of, it just throws me.
I know. Well, the thing to look for is the motor tag.
True.
The motor tag... Well, even then, that'll throw you, but if it has this tag, it's not K63. If it has a metal tag... It's not K63. If it has no tag or a paper tag, then it could be either, but it's most likely K63.
Okay, and that's why I let my bandmate have an antique brass one.
Gotcha.
It was stencil bladed, too.
Ooh, yeah, I remember that one. That was nice.
Yeah, I let him have that one. Give him a good fan.
That is a good fan. That's Nino?
Yeah.
Nino deserves the best. I agree. Nino's a prince of a guy.
Let him have a good fan.
Okay. I'm going to guess that this is probably the same category for Rick. It's probably the middle category for Rick as well. Wood grain station wagon. Because I know he likes Zephyrs. He's got one in his bedroom.
Yeah.
I don't see black being nearly as high as brown or even brass because it's not as malaise. And
probably antique brass would be, I'm guessing, for him.
Or, I don't know. Maybe the brown. We'll have to ask him.
Well, I would figure brown, but antique brass over polished.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know, because polished brass is very 80s, like so many Wendy's and Burger Kings and McDonald's had polished brass Casablancas in the 80s. But then again, he wasn't alive in the 80s either.
No.
He just likes the 80s, so he might not remember those installs the way that we do.
Right. No, he wouldn't, yeah.
So, yeah, I would put this in the middle category for me, too. So, again, if you're interested in it, you just got to offer me something that I like more in trade, and I will consider it. Sounds like I don't think Pete or Rick would have any objection to that, especially if it's something they like more in trade too. Is kind of the vibe I'm getting. Mm-hmm. What is it? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what people have to offer. But at this point, I'm not looking to sell it outright. I'd rather keep it than get money for it. But I would trade it for something that I like more. And if it's not an even trade, I don't have a problem making it an even trade by including something else or including some cash or paying shipping both ways, or if the thing that I want is worth more than this, then I don't have a problem balancing out the trade. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anything else you want to say, Pete, before we thank our sponsors?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got your beverage?
Yes, I do.
So as always, we didn't need fan stick because of the we removed the pull chain. But if it had a pull chain. Even on this, do me a favor, stick this like near the fan so we don't lose it.
Yeah.
even on this low ceiling, sometimes you need a little help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying like just sit it on top of the motor or something, just so when you take this down, we keep it all together. Yeah.
Sure.
Because again, if it goes to somebody else, they might want that.
Yeah.
So and we can take our 10 out of there and we'll hang on to that.
Yeah.
By the way, you could wire it with the pull chain and the reverse switch. And just like this. We didn't for the ease of the video, and also because I didn't want to make too many modifications if it's going to go back to Slumber Quiet. But all you need to do is strip the wire, take those modular connectors off, strip the wires, and you could just do it with wire nuts, and you could use the same reverse switch, the same pull chain. You could even use the same capacitor if you pulled it off the circuit board. So I can walk somebody through doing that if they want to do that. Anyhow, so even on a low ceiling like this, sometimes it's the worst day of your life, Pete.
Yeah.
And you need a solution to all of your problems. And what do?
Buy
Fan Stick. Fan Stick is the solution to all of my problems. And if I wanted to find out more about Fan Stick, where would I go?
To buyfanstick.com.
Buyfanstick.com, fanstick.biz, lightstick.biz. And if I want a little bit sexier fan stick, if I want a fan stick that's 69% longer and harder, I can go to buyfanstickxxx.com. Pete, I've been thirsty tonight. How about you?
Yes.
And what do you do when you're thirsty?
Reach for a Sperry.
Reach for a Sperry. That's the Sperry Zero Sugar. How do you feel about those?
Tastes the same.
Okay, that's good to know. Artificial sweeteners sometimes upset my stomach, which is why I don't generally buy them. Although I pretty much only drink soda either when I'm taking my meds and need them to stay down, or when we're doing a fan video and we need to support our sponsors.
Yes.
But maybe I'll start buying the Zero Sugar Sperry and see, because it would be nice to not have to drink sugar. And Pete says that the Zero Sugar version is also Sperry good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. Well, you're doing some crunching right there. So if you wanted a fan control and you also wanted to crunch, I would turn to 81220 LLC, where our motto is crunch, 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 crunch. Now, I might be hungry for more than crunching. If I want to crunch on some tortilla chips, maybe a hard shell taco or a burrito or a Mexico, where do I go?
Taco burrito
Mexico. So if I need something manufactured, it doesn't need to be that good. I go to
the Good
Manufacturing Company. And for a fun game that I can play with my friends, I go to rickorsheep.com, where I can play Rick or Sheep. Anything else that we're missing, Pete?
Not from your list of sponsors.
You want to add your list of sponsors since we're in the enclosure?
Sure. My list is, of course, the PowerMate Canister Vacuum Company, where one motor's not enough for vacuuming, you need two.
Okay. Is that actually a real thing?
Well, my canister vacuum right here is that type.
That is a PowerMate?
Well, yeah. That's actually a term for Kenmore's, but this is an Electrolux.
Okay.
But I just call
this
it
is all
general.
going over my head.
It's like general versus
when he starts talking about vacuums, I just hear wah, 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 wah. You know, from the Charlie Brown teacher, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. What else? I know you got Jonas organs in there.
Oh yes, organs and doorbells.
Jonas organs and doorbells. They're magnificent
and marvelous.
And marvelous.
Yes, they are marvelous.
I wonder if Jonas even realizes we're doing an impression of him when he says that. Does he actually even say that, or we just put that on him?
I never saw him. You took him to House on the Rock.
You saw him, though. You hung out with him.
Yes.
But you never saw him say marvelous. But it does sound like the thing he would say.
I thought you told me you did at House on the Rock.
He probably did. I did.
In the organ section.
Actually, here would be a good place to look. When we drove back from House on the Rock, I vlogged Jonas's reaction. That's on video. It's a public video. So go to my YouTube channel. If you search for Jonas, you can find him talking about House on the Rock. So I wonder, we'll see how many times he says marvelous and magnificent.
Okay.
House on the Rock.
I thought he said that in the organ section of the House on the Rock.
God, don't even remind me. Jonas in the organ section at House on the Rock.
That's where I kind of got all that from.
Man, well, next time you take him. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go too. I'm just saying, because that was his favorite room. And he said, I'll rush through the rest of it so I can spend more time in the organ room. Because you remember we had so much to do that week. And it was hot, and I was exhausted. And, but, man, Jonas in the organ room. My God. Okay.
And And then don't forget Reese's Pizza. Be sure to eat your pizza.
Sure to eat your pizza. Well, we ate some pizza earlier today.
Yes, we did.
Pretty good.
Yes.
It wasn't Marty's pizza.
And it wasn't Reese's Pizza.
It wasn't Reese's. Well, it could have been Reese's Pizza. We can bring him there. What else we got? Anything else?
And my kid's obsession, where parents can understand their kids' fascinations better and not feel embarrassed.
We got to figure out a way to put that on YouTube.
I'm trying to figure it out. I just such as interests of fans and vacuums.
Yeah. I have the footage. Every time I try to put it on YouTube, they're like, "How dare you?"
What?
Copyright.
For what?
For my kid's obsession, I'm saying.
Oh my god.
Well, because it makes sense. The content belongs to maybe the Learning Channel, maybe.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
but if you just say the name.
No, I'm saying I want to put Reese's episode so people can see it.
Oh.
But I mean, that's not. I don't own the rights to that footage, so.
Right.
But there's got to be a way. I figured out how to do it with American Gods. I don't know if you've gone to my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I saw that.
So isn't that cool to see House on the Rock?
Yeah.
In a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out a way to do it. If you broke it up into small enough clips, they would give you permission to use it. Then you could say used with permission. But
one thing I noticed, some people upload Beavis and Butthead. They turn the picture backwards, like mirror it when they edit. I seen them like backwards, and even
I will try that. I've tried speeding it up. That didn't work. I've tried slowing it down. That didn't work. I tried breaking it up into segments. That's a mirror the picture. I like that idea. I will try that.
Another is I've seen them do with Beavis and Butthead episodes is they take their camera and film their television.
Oh yeah, because then you would no longer own the right. Like you would own the rights to the content because the content is you filming, not the actual content. Yeah. I would hate to do that because the quality would be subpar, but it'd be better than nothing.
Right, it would be better than nothing. You can get away with it.
Well, it's fine. I mean, if worst case comes to worst, I'll try that. So let's get out of here. As always, patreon.com/dspiffy for more behind the scenes content. And what else can they do to support us, Pete?
Buy Fan
Stick. Thanks for watching.